Cincinnati became the focal point for ethnic unrest in April of 2001. While the violence and looting which took place afterwards was wrong, it leads us to an underlying issue in America's urban centers. Now, this is the over-the-Rhine community in Cincinnati where the majority of the riots took place. My office is at P&G's world headquarters just a few blocks away. For such a short distance, the worlds and the wealth associated with each world are vastly different. Economic inclusion is a key issue in America for large numbers of minority people. In 1967, the Kerner Commission issued America's first comprehensive report on race between blacks and whites. Know what they found? The issue of economic disparity was at the root of racial unrest. Most other reports that have discussed and debated the issues of urban America since the Kerner report all mirror it by identifying economic disparity as the root cause for many of its ills. Now, we don't plan to debate the reasons and issues behind economic disparity here today, but we do need to recognize that it exists. How wide is the economic gap today between minority people and whites? Now, in a comparison of U.S. Census data for the years 1992 and 1998, a white family's net worth was 6 times as high as a minority family. 6 times. And while minority income has risen substantially over the years, it still is almost 40% lower than a white family's income. There are many tasks that we need to tackle to help bring a form of parity in income and net worth between these groups. Government plays a key social role. The church plays a role. The media plays a role. And yes, corporations play a role as members of these communities. The utilization of supplier diversity by major corporations is fundamentally a key tactic that must be used as a way to help build communities. It provides a way that the underutilized segment of society can have an opportunity to achieve the American dream. Utilizing minority-owned suppliers usually means increased employment of minority people by these companies. Now, Yanklowitz Research did a survey of 10,000 minority-owned businesses several years ago. On average, about 75% of the employees at these businesses were minorities. These firms hired the people that Fortune 500 companies or larger privately held white firms would not hire. We plan to bring to life this data with a look at some minority-owned suppliers in the Detroit area, Atlanta, Baton Rouge, Jackson, Tennessee, Philadelphia, and yes, here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, supplier diversity initiatives by the private business sector can play a major role in making the economic landscape brighter for minority communities. For consumer product companies like Procter & Gamble, Chiquita, Kroger, and others, supplier diversity should be viewed as critical for future growth. The same goes with banking and financial institutions, car manufacturers and dealers, insurance companies and uniform companies, and every other type of company in between. Why? The 2000 census reflects the minority population has grown at a faster rate than once predicted. Today, a little more than 31% of America's population is made up of somebody in a minority group. We now believe that by 2040, half of America will be made up by this group, a full 10 years sooner than earlier projections. Need more data? Today's minority population has a spending power in excess of $1.2 trillion, double 10 years ago. The number of Black and Latino families earning between $50,000 and $100,000 per year doubled between 1970 and 2000. While there is truly a growing group of the Black and Latino middle and upper class in America, the reality is the underclass is growing as well. And there lies the dirty little secret of this growing economy of the last 8 years. The underclass, particularly the minority underclass, grew at a larger pace than any time in history. Now, here are the facts. While unemployment today in America is under 5%, in places like South Central Los Angeles, the barrios in Houston, and yes, here and over the Rhine in Cincinnati, Ohio, over 30% of Black and Latino men 18 to 25 are unemployed. The number of families earning $15,000 a year and under doubled as well. And this income disparity is growing faster and wider than the same income disparity occurring in the white community. Want to know what that means? Well, suppose America continued with the same income disparity for the next 45 years. By 2045, minority purchasing power would be about $4 trillion per year. But if we find a way to bring minority income to parity with the white population, the United States economy improves by $2 trillion annually. Now think about it. More income to invest in banks and insurance companies. More disposable income for automobiles. And yes, more disposable income to buy brand name products and not worry about how to pay for it. Here's another piece of important data. Many minorities are much more likely to choose brands when the company and/or the brands exhibit a sense of giving back to grow the community, the consumer base, if you will. That's why, as part of their broad $40 million ad campaign to highlight corporate responsibility, Philip Morris has used George Hill's company, Diversified Chemicals, as an example of their supplier diversity efforts. They are connecting with consumers with these spots. Share price at the company has almost tripled in the last 2 years. Units sold at Philip Morris's tobacco unit are at an all-time high. And craft food continues to grow at a double-digit year-to-year rate. Supplier diversity utilization by corporations is a must-to-do if we are to build our cities and our consumer base. Don't believe me? Well, come with me on a trip to various suppliers in the United States. I think you'll find what the owners and their employees have to say fascinating.
I never anticipated that supplier diversity would take on the level of importance that it is taking on right now. I think that right now this is one of the major engines that I think that may even revitalize and change the face of this country, especially in urban areas. Because corporate impact, okay, the whole idea of being proactive toward a large portion of the population that has heretofore been somewhat hidden, okay, is a tribute. Now, one of the things it's a tribute, of course, is that this is indeed a market economy. And that means simplistically that there's a market for corporate America to sit down and pay attention to. And when that market is the rivals being the 8th or 9th largest economy in the world and is approaching $1 trillion, then certainly both corporate America and all of its shareholders should justifiably have an interest in it.
If you look at the demographics of where America is going, it's not going to be a world dominated by the same types of ethnic groups that we've had in the past 200 plus years of American history. It's going to be different. Hispanics will become a much bigger part of the community. Asians will become a much bigger part of the community. African Americans will have a strong presence. I think that companies, both in terms of their hiring practices, in terms of their purchasing practices, have to reflect what the American population is going to look like. It just makes common sense. And even though the payback may not be there today or tomorrow, I think that the payoff is there for these these large corporations down the road, because people find out, and if these types of programs are not being embraced now, the systems are built in not to do this now, it's going to be too late. You can't rush into it 10 years, 20 years down the road because, oh my goodness, I'm finding I'm behind the 8 ball. Everybody else is doing it, and I need to get caught up. It doesn't happen that way. These types of programs have to get started early. You have to start developing suppliers. You have to have the right kind of hiring practices. And it takes a long time, but I think the companies that show that kind of commitment and have the patience to stick with it will reap the benefits down the road.
It's good business because when you help all people to succeed, and you look at the numbers of people who are buying goods and services, you're looking at people that that when you help them to become more economically fit, that they will buy products. They'll be better able to buy products. So I think that you're inclusive of building up the economy when you open it up for all people that they may have jobs.
Over the last 11 years, me and my family have progressed a lot. The company has been very loyal, a lot of growth, a lot of potential for its benefits and those things that it has to offer for your family. Just been a great access to me.
In the 11 years I've been here, I have found that I have, like I say, started in the office, worked my way up to management. The company's been good to me. Our benefits have greatly improved through the years. I've been able to buy a couple of homes, which means a lot to me because I love my home life outside of work. And find that we've grown tremendously from where we started out, because we started out with 20 employees in one line. So not only has it benefited the employees that we've been able to bring on through the years, but Marvin and I have also gone very successfully up the ladder.
But I think it's very important for vendors to recognize that the status has nothing to do with the service and the product. And one of the things that I've done since day one is communicate to the employees here that what's going to help us rise to the top is not our status or gender, but it's going to be the service and the products that we deliver. I think there's been some advantages in being part of cultural diversity programs, but nonetheless, that status doesn't necessarily generate business.
When I reflect on the H.J. Russell and our status as a minority company, we look at that as secondary. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary in a couple of years. And we see our longevity here not because we are a minority business, but because we've been a good, solid, performing company. And that's how we like to approach our clients, as, hey, we can get the job done for you. By the way, we're a minority-owned company, and you know, we bring you a level of diversity that you probably don't have that much of. But it's no question that we see ourselves in a place where we're hired because clients know we can do a good job.
I think one of the things that we need to do, it is really an obligation or a responsibility to share with our employees the products that they need to be buying and share some brand loyalty, because there are times that when all things are considered equal, they will go the diversity way and go through the diversity supplier. Well, when they go to the grocery store and all things are considered equal, they should go buy the product that the Tide versus another one.
Absolutely. Everyone at this company is well aware of who the customer is and what product they're going into. It's actually part of our training efforts so that they understand the impact that their work has on what actually is going out to the consumers, because we supply detergent scoops, and we don't want them to take that for granted, that every time someone opens up a box, they get their first, one of their early impressions of what's in that box is what that scoop looks like. And as far as trying to engender a little bit more brand loyalty beyond just the workplace, I absolutely make all of my friends go out there and buy P&G dry laundry, no question about it. When I first got married, my wife was buying liquid detergent, God forbid, and I told her, well, you're going to have to convert to Tide dry laundry because you need to support the family business.
Since we've been in business with the J&Js, P&Gs, and all of our customers, has been a tremendous asset not only to myself, but especially our employees. Our 401k and our profit sharing plan, 60% total is in our customers, our largest 5 customers' stocks, which tends to push kind of loyalty. These are the people that are feeding your family.
The intentionalness of supplier diversity suggests that the companies being served are going to represent a community, that they're going to be in that community, and that being in that community will supply jobs to that community.
And it also has a ripple effect in terms of the way it affects the community, that it creates wealth in the minority community, and it creates jobs in the minority community, that they buy our products as a result of brand recognition, that our employees become aware of the importance of the contracts that we get.
If you're going to the store to buy Tide or some other product or P&G product, or you're going there to out and you buying a drink and you buy from Coors, because those are some of our major contributors. And we want to keep it close-knit together, that we're doing everything in sync. We want their company to grow so we can grow in the process. So I think it's real important to buy from your suppliers or your customers. That way, when they grow, you'll grow also with them.
We maintain people of all walks of life is a part of our organization. Another great satisfaction I get when I leave my parking lot every day, and just to see those people own nice automobile. You see 50 or 60 automobiles out there. It's wonderful to see that. Those people own home, and it's just great. It's just to be associated with people like Propaganda and the Coke of the world, the Georgia Pacific of the world, the IBM. You know, we fortunate that we have been a part of people who have given us this opportunity.
Most of the minority community that I know that is in business now, all we ever needed was a real opportunity to do things. Most of the businesses that I do business with, minority businesses, have always been competitive, strong, well-educated businesses, but they just never had the opportunity to get on the major playing fields with the major players of the city.
I think with myself, the minority programs itself, I mean, and the key word there is opportunity. I think it's a good thing that it's a shame that we have to do that, but in order to get opportunities, there's programs out, special need programs that assist us in getting to where, you know, some people wouldn't get the opportunities if these programs weren't around. And I think it's a good thing that the programs are out there, because I probably wouldn't be where I am today if there weren't programs like, you know, such as this. I mean, I went through college on type of a quota system, and it, you know, helped me get to where I am. So I think these programs are wonderful.
P&G was our main target, and we used to drive to Cincinnati. I couldn't afford to stay in a hotel, so we slept in the car and would go in the hotels in the morning while the maids were cleaning up and pay them a couple bucks to let us take a shower before we made our sales calls in and around Cincinnati. And that's kind of how we got started. And, a lot of training from Procter. Took us a lot of training programs, pushed us to, you know, grow the company, make it bigger.
The way that they have impact in diversity is basically just giving the contractor or vendor the opportunity to quote on the work. I think if you do not have a quality product to sell, if you do not have a quality price, quality safety, and overall good quality, you won't perform. And I think that if you don't perform, that does more disservice to a good supplier diversity program than not having one at all. So I think the key is having a customer that, one, will give minority suppliers the opportunity, but two, insist on them providing a quality product and the end result, because that's what they expect regardless of who you are.
Basically, when my employees get their check weekly, they know where a large portion of those funds that came to cut that check came from. So we tend to shop and buy products for the people that help create that check.
It's important to be conscious of those companies that are not doing business with minority vendors. And I think that the best way to get their attention is not to support their products, is not to purchase their products. I think economics sends a message that those of us in the communities who feel like we're not getting fair treatment shouldn't patronize your business, shouldn't buy products from your business. I think that's a message that needs to be sent, and if it has an economic impact, it tends to get their attention.
That is very important. You support people who support you and support your enterprise. Now, all people is not like Propaganda or Coke. I'm talking about a lot of the Fortune 500 company. It's still more Propaganda can do. It's more that Coke can do. But by the same token, they are shoulder above so many other companies. We need to make sure that every race of people have the opportunity to play on a level field. That is very important. It's just good business. It's good business for Propaganda. It's good business for any of the Fortune 500 companies. Unfortunately, is so many out there have not got that message. And what would it have been like if this poor boy here today, Herman Jerome Rossi, did not have those opportunities that was given to me? I wouldn't be working 2,500 people. I wouldn't be tripping no $4 million to Carter in university. I wouldn't be doing the stuff that I'm doing to improve the quality of life in this city of Atlanta and other cities. It's just a good investment. And that's why I invest back into the community. That's why this building looked like the UN building, because I believe that everybody should have a fair opportunity. It just makes good sense, and should you support those causes who support you? Absolutely. I'll always look for product that propaganda makes.
There you have it. A number of minority-owned suppliers who are caring and serious about developing their communities. These are the real stories that build the business case for supplier diversity. A way to get at a form of economic inclusion. Building businesses in neighborhoods that provide good-paying jobs may be the only way to affect real change. Atlanta has figured it out and is the clear model for economic inclusion. Detroit is working hard in conjunction with the 3 Detroit-based automakers to make a difference. Procter & Gamble and Philip Morris have also figured it out. Supplier diversity can be a tool for economic development, today and tomorrow. You know, many people asked the question during the Cincinnati riots, why are they destroying their own communities? Now, places like North Avondale, where I live, Forest Park, and Pleasant Ridge, where large numbers of black folks live, were just fine. The people own their own homes. They own businesses in these communities. They have an awful lot to lose. The folks that rioted in Over the Rhine and Walnut Hills and Avondale, in many cases, do not own the property in these communities. They do not own the land or the houses they live in, the stores they shop at. What do they really have to lose? The homes and the businesses will be rebuilt, and maybe some of the folks have to relocate, an inconvenience, if you will. The questions we have to ask ourselves are, which America do we want? Do we want an America with people like Al Hollingsworth and Peter Moon and the Russell family and the other business owners that we talked with that are committed to making their communities stronger, employing and training folks that Fortune 500 companies can't do anymore in America? Or do we want an America that when people get desperate, they do desperate and unlawful things, like the April riots in Cincinnati? These folks don't have any dreams left to dream. And for them, the American dream is not reachable right now. Somehow, we must provide growth, hope, and the opportunity for these folks to dream about a better life for themselves and for their families. Remember, these are our future consumers of tomorrow. I'm Daryl Hodnett. Thanks for joining us.